Oh, hey, y'all. It's Jamie Richards week here on the Boston Chris podcast. And if you're from the Southwest United States and you're a country music fan, then you are full aware of the story of Jamie Richards. This amazing artist has been on my peripheral for as long as I've been in Texas, it seems. I'm a huge fan of traditional country music, and because of that, I've always known pretty much who Jamie Richards is. I can't even believe that he's about to be on my show this week. What a huge honor this is. Let me tell you a little bit about him. Actually, before we do that, do me a favor, guys. Hit that like button wherever you're watching or listening. If you want to see more in-depth, candid interviews like this one, you can, of course, follow or subscribe wherever you are. That's usually completely free. And I want you guys to comment down below what your favorite part of this episode was this week. Let me tell you a little bit about Jamie Richards, for those of you who are just possibly hearing about him for the first time. A staunch musical traditionalist with a modern edge, Jamie Richards has won a strong regional following in the Southwest for his songs that are rich in pedal steel, broken hearts, and plain-spoken storytelling. Richards was born in Oklahoma, where his folks ran a dairy farm. Now, growing up on the farm, Jamie inherited his father's work ethic and his mother's love of music. He learned to sing with his mom as she played classic gospel songs on the family's piano, and he sang along. And as he grew older, Jamie became a serious country music fan. In time, he began writing songs and singing them with a band that played honky-tonks all across Oklahoma. After years of working in clubs, the then 26-year-old Richards decided to take a shot at the big time, and he moved to Nashville, Tennessee. In Nashville, Richards worked in construction to make ends meet and soon signed developmental deals with RCA and Capitol Records. After both deals fizzled out, he soon realized that most Music City record labels were looking for artists with more pop sensibility and less of a hard country edge. With unwavering perseverance, Richards' gifts as a songwriter didn't go unnoticed, however, and he was signed as a staff songwriter with Curb Records. His songs enjoyed success, recorded by Cody Jinks, Hal Ketchum, Ken Mellons, and Kevin Fowler. And after 5 years in Nashville, Richards was eager to make his mark as an artist. At that time, he moved to Texas and things really took off. We're so excited to have Jamie Richards here on the show for the very first time, and definitely not the last time, because Jamie is just a unique person. Brand new record coming out in 2025, perhaps the end of September, and Jamie says it's his best work yet. This man has 13 number one hits. If this is his best work yet, we are in store for an amazing era of Jamie Richards. Y'all check out my full, in-depth, candid interview with Jamie, starting right now.
It's time to jam. It's time to mingle. It's time to see what everyone's drinking. It's time to jam. It's time to mingle. It's time to see what everyone's drinking. Until we all lose connection.
Hey guys, this is Clint Offord. Thank you guys so much for watching the Boston Chris Show.
Guys, we have the legendary, I'm saying that word, not him. He's too humble to say that, but man, we have Jamie Richards on the show for the first time ever, and man, I've been a huge fan of yours for a really, really long time. So it's a big honor of mine to have you on the show. I appreciate you, man.
Well, thank you, Chris. I remember you for several years now. You've always been a big part of Texas music scene, and when you give us a call, it was great. I'm very, very glad to do it.
Awesome, man. I appreciate you saying that. So, first things first, we're excited to have a couple of live songs from Jamie today to show who he is, in case you didn't know. If you don't know, I don't know where the hell you're living at, under a rock somewhere. But the first one's called I'll Have Another. Tell us a little bit about this song.
Okay. Well, this song, this is interesting, really, how this title came about. I wrote it with a guy named Shannon Carpenter. Shannon was my guitar player, and he was from Texarkana area.
Okay.
And he didn't, he was a great telly player and like young guy in his 20s. And he kind of had a little bit of this thought about to write a song, and he told me about it. And then I kind of kind of come up with, can't have you only have another, have another. So, which I sat down, I wrote the song by myself, but if he would have been involved, I never would have been able to write it, because he led me down the road with his idea to write this song. So, without him, I would have never got it written. But unfortunately, he committed suicide, of all things, right not long after that song was a hit on the radio, and it broke my heart. And he was such a great player and such a pleasure to be around, and a funny guy, and just had some demons like we all have. And anyway, that song, I think it's one of the best plays on words that I've ever written. Can't have you one you want, I'll have another, which could either be a girl or a drink.
It's just however you listen to it, right? However you take it in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It kind of played off that play on words for the entire time. And, those kind of songs are kind of special to me. They're kind of hard to write, because they sound like a lot of songs are written about drinking. A lot of mine have been, for sure. And broken hearts. But to come up with something fresh, and I feel like that was fresh. I still feel like, that could be a huge song nationwide. If somebody ever wanted to cut it, or if I ever put it out, I still think it could be huge. I think it had all the ingredients to be a big, big song.
Yeah, and great tribute in memory for your co-writer too. It's forever now, so that's always good. And so you always have this song as a tribute in memory of him as well. So it makes it even more special, right?
Oh, for sure. And he was, like I said, he was a young guy and just a great talent. It would have been amazing to see just how good he could be on the guitar by now. It was amazing how good he was. And just anyway, it's a great song, and I'm glad that he was a part of it with me.
Yeah, and so we're excited to show it to y'all. It's I'll have another live from Jamie Richards. Y'all check it out.
And my life is held together by a rusty guitar string, singing songs in neon lights, a different stage every night, same old dream. Lord, she put up with so many things she never should have to, and I can't blame her for walking away. I gave her all that I had left to give, but not enough to make her stay. If I can't have the one I want, then I'll have another. A glass of whiskey can't take the place of a friend and a lover. But it's all I know to do. You said here and drown the truth. Lord knows I really love her. If I can't have the one I want, then I'll have another. The crowd came to hear me play, but I'm 500 miles away tonight. Got that old familiar feeling when you know someone is leaving, it's a fight. Oh, I don't want to be alone, but no matter how I try, I need to act my age. I always say I'm gonna give it up this time. As a free girl, bring a shot or two to stay. Maybe she will. If I can't have the one I want, then I'll have another. A glass of whiskey can't take the place of a friend and a lover. it's all I know to do. You said here and drown us through. Lord knows I really love her. I can't have what I want, then I'll have another. If I can't have what I want, then I'll have another.
All right, so we are back once again. First time ever with Jamie Richards on the show. And, man, this is a long time coming. I have a lot of really cool, in-depth questions for you I think you'll enjoy. But we're going to start with an icebreaker first. What are your favorite drinks right now?
My favorite drinks?
Yes.
Did you say drinks?
Yep. Alcoholic or not, you choose.
Well, alcoholic-wise, I got married almost 2 years ago, and I never had any gin really in my life, and if I did have it, I don't think I liked it. But my wife likes gin and tonic with a little lime involved. It's kind of grown on me. She said it was refreshing, so I think she might be right. So I think gin and tonic for the alcoholic drink is what I've been drinking some. I've cut way back on my drinking. I used to be a pretty good hellraiser, but I think when I've gotten older, I'm like, I need to chill on that a little bit, because you feel bad for a couple of days. You really, people bring my cousin once told me, he goes, you're in the business of drinking because, when you play anywhere, people are wanting to have a drink with you. And before you know it, you've had 5 shots of tequila and you only wanted one, or whatever. And then, it happens and boom, boom, boom. And, so I've kind of got a little bit better at turning down that.
Yeah, that's tough too, because you feel like you're obligated, right? You don't want to say no to your fans or your friends, and so I know how that is as well. Let's talk about early on with Jamie Richards. You grew up in Oklahoma, right? Well, we'll say that kind of low now because you're in Texas now, but yeah, kind of grew up in the blue collar world, right, on a dairy farm.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I got lucky enough to, after my parents passed away, my father died in 2012, and he had raised up on the dairy, but most of it had been sold. But they gave me 15 acres in my inheritance. That's what I inherited. So I went back, and not only did I have 15 acres, I bought about 10 more, and I also bought the house that was sitting on the 10 acres, and I've remodeled it completely, and I still have that. It's got a couple acres of a nice pond on it that's got a lot of bass and crappie in it, and I love to fish, so I hung on to it. I go up there when I want to get away. Of course, I still go up there and keep the yard up and stuff when I can, and it's just a great place to have, just a childhood home, But
yeah, well, we have that in common. My dad, he was raised by foster parents, but he was also on a dairy farm. He grew up on a dairy farm, so both the sons of dairy farmers. Crazy, huh? Different parts of the world. I'm from Massachusetts, and you're from Oklahoma.
I knew I felt a connection. I just didn't know what it was.
Yeah. It's hard work though, kind of coming up on the farm, isn't it? Because you got to.
It is.
You're kind of independent, but at the same time, things have to be done, and if those things don't get done, people don't eat and people don't drink and all of that stuff.
That's true, and it's it's a 7-day a week, twice a day gig.
Yeah.
I think all singers and musicians should at least milk cows at least for a year, and then they would realize how hard that job is. Being a musician is not an easy job, but nonetheless, I think all musicians that do a little hard labor in their life from the get-go would probably make them understand how lucky they are.
Yeah. And so how's music finding you out there on the farm as a youngster?
My mother was a piano player and a gospel singer, and my sisters both, I was the youngest of 6 kids. My oldest sibling is 23 years older than me. So my mother had me at like 40 years old. And so it's, back in the day, my mother had her first child at 16, 17 years old, married to my dad. And they had the same mother and dad, and it was great. But yeah, my mother played piano, and I also made a little gospel record when I was 9 years old. I went down to Houston, Texas, and in a studio of a church and in Houston and recorded one. Had 6 songs on it. I think I was 9 years old.
At
And
9,
that was
crazy.
I was 9.
Wow.
Yeah. My mother played piano. I think the pastor at the time probably played bass, and we had he took me fishing on the ocean, went down to the coast, and I think went fishing and stuff. So it was a neat deal, and I've got that little record. It looks like a 45 package. It's just a short little square.
Sounds
3
like
songs
good
on each.
blackmail fodder to me, right?
Do what now?
Sounds like good blackmail fodder to me.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. I had my voice hadn't changed yet, so I sound like a little girl. And
Yeah.
I definitely could hit some high notes, no doubt about it.
Somebody should play one of those songs on the radio and say, "This is new Jamie Richards. Enjoy," right?
I know it.
That's
I think
awesome stuff.
I've got that record around here somewhere. It'd be kind of cool to take that with me and show some people, because they would. It's so cool to have that.
You should recut it as your current self.
Oh my goodness!
Oh my God, that'd be cool.
That would be a big change.
Yeah, right.
But
yeah. So I mean, you're growing up in obviously in a very blue collar world. Work ethic is going to be really, really important. So, kind of looking back at that work ethic you learned as a youngster, how do you think you've applied that to your music career over the years?
I would say, in some ways, it was a great thing, and in some ways, it was probably not. And the reason I say that is I became a good carpenter too. I worked as a carpenter for about 20 years in Nashville some of that time, and I was making a pretty good living. I never was the kind of guy that wanted to move in with, I don't know, 3 or 4 other people and share rent and stuff. I kind of like privacy, and of course I had a girlfriend fairly young. I think 17, I was 19, and we were together a long time. But it seemed like that I almost got a little bit lazy, not lazy toward music, or not lazy towards work, but just kind of lazy in pursuing music. I could have hit it harder when I was in Nashville, but I did ultimately get record deals. I mean, I got one on RCA. I got one on Capitol. I had one on Curb. I had a writing deal on Curb for 5 years. I mean, I done some good. I mean, they seen something in me, but it was, I think in the 90s, it was kind of, country music was not, Garth Brooks was somewhat country, and but here comes Shania Twain, and then they started looking for.
They were changing things for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Alan Jackson and George Strait were more of what I do, but also they, their album sales jumped way up, so everybody was looking kind of for the next Garth and Shania. They weren't looking for a good old country boy from Oklahoma, although I did get some opportunities. So I think if I wouldn't have went to Nashville, I would probably not have the ability to write songs as like I do. I'm not saying I'm Dean Dillon, but I do have a kind of, I've written a lot of songs with a lot of people, and I've got cuts by a lot of different artists too. So that's all went hand in hand. And I feel like if I would have just started writing songs, just trying to write a song, that I would have had a lot to learn, and nobody to teach me.
Do you think having that good paying job, that construction work at the same time, do you think that may have also helped you in a way? Because I feel like because you have that to fall back on and you're making good money, you don't necessarily have to take something that you don't believe in on the music side of things. Do you think that helped you?
I think that could be true also. Luckily, when I got to Nashville, it was several years, but once I kind of got there in the late 80s, and once I kind of got in the mid 90s, I started meeting people, some of the big writers and artists, and especially the writers, and they kind of took me under their wing, like guys like Jim Rushing and Larry Cordell. Larry Cordell's a guy that wrote Highway 40 Blues and all these big hits. Jim Rushing wrote tons of big hits, and they both kind of took me under their wing, started writing with me. But I think that I was still working a day gig. I remember when I had a deal at RCA, it was in 1999, and I was still driving nails, working construction as a carpenter, and had a record deal on RCA, because they, if it wasn't, it was the initial, like a developmental deal, And I remember walking up in there one day to RCA offices, and I had dirt all over me, and I was sweaty, and I had, I've just been working all day. And the woman's like, the secretary in there was looking at me like, security, get him out of here. That's what,
Yeah.
that's what I could see it in her eyes,
Yeah.
So I'm like, no. I'm Jamie. I've got to see. Oh, okay. Let me
Yeah.
see if he's in. Buzzed him. So, but yeah, I think in some ways I probably went a little bit too far as doing other things, but besides music. But I also feel like that you're right. It did help me kind of have enough money to maybe be a little more picky.
Yeah.
Where I lived and maybe who I hung out with.
Yeah, I used to say to my dad, if I have a good living and I have something that I'm passionate about, I could be a little more mouthy in the thing I'm passionate about, right? Like be a little bit more standing up for myself rather than just taking something, And so that for whatever reason, it reminded me of that. Man, I research every one of these interviews, and everyone is interesting to me and unique. One of the things I find interesting about you is you moved to Nashville at 26. So, I mean, that's kind of a late start. I mean, people won't believe that nowadays, but back in the days, 26 was a late start. What was kind of the initial goal for you? Because, like, when you moved to the country music mecca, so to speak, it could be for writing, it could be to become an artist, or, all of these different reasons. There's so many different, branches of the business. What was the initial goal for you?
Well, it was to be an artist. I hadn't written that many songs when I was, I started writing a few songs when I was a late teenager, probably 17, 18, 19, maybe right in there, and wrote, 20 songs, maybe 30 songs when I went to Nashville. That's about all I had. So I guess it was thinking that, an artist thing. And next thing I knew, at that time, they were looking for people that could write, singer-songwriters, it just was kind of a big deal. And I guess it still is.
Yeah.
Some of the bigger artists, like George Strait, Randy Travis, they didn't write much, and I didn't really even think about it too much. I'm still amazed at the people, even in Texas, that don't really think about who wrote the song, especially the younger kids. They don't care who wrote
I think people just assume too, right? It's the way it's presented to them. It's a Randy Travis song. It's a George Strait song. You're not hearing it's a Dean Dillon song. You're not hearing that, right?
That's right.
Or a Harlan Howard song. It's whoever married the song, not who created it, right?
That's true. That's a fact, because I see people saying, so and so, that's a good song he wrote, and I'm like, he didn't write that song, but I'm just I bite my lip because
it's tough, man. It's really hard when right? Yeah.
They just don't know any better. But it's I think it's always been kind of I think artists. I may not have the respect of a million people in Texas, but I dang sure have the respect, I think, of a lot of artists in Texas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like as a singer-songwriter, and always trying to use my own band in the studio, which I've done every time pretty much, except a couple. This new record I didn't, but I usually do. But I think I've always tried to make my band part of it, and always tried to write and cut a lot of my own material. And once again, this time I recorded several of mine, but I actually recorded more outside material than I did what I wrote this time, because this was a special record. We'll get into that a little bit, but
yeah,
I think that I think writing songs was, I got to write with some like Hall of Fame writers, Roy Burke, Don Fremer, all these guys that were Songwriter Hall of Fame writers, and Paul Kraft, just a lot of these guys, and most of them are gone.
Yeah.
But, they taught me a lot about it, and I was happy to get the chance.
Well, so you come to Nashville with that goal in mind to become an artist. You did get a couple of developmental deals as well, as you mentioned. But as you also mentioned, country was kind of shifting at that time from traditional to more pop sounding and more edgy, more kind of hard hitting with the rock edge. One person you didn't mention who also came around that time was Keith Urban, who had a real big influence on that change in style. So my question for you is, as a traditional artist that went there to be a traditional artist, What kind of slap in the face is that? Like, how disheartening is that? You come to be an artist, you think you have the goods, and then the whole frickin' city just completely shifts
Yeah.
away from what you're doing.
I think I think it's a slap in the face. I don't,
Yeah.
I don't take it. It's hard not to take it personal, but I know that it's not. Even in Texas, I mean, I know I'm going to make a lot of people not like this comment probably, but I'm sorry that Texas is supposed to be the cowboy capital and country capital, but when it gets right down to it, they seem to like the edgier stuff, alternative music, than they do the straight up country. I mean, they love George Strait and they love a couple more, and then that's about it. Everybody else is more, I mean, it's I've done fine, and I'm happy with what I've been successful at. But there have been, places that I should have played, should have been in. I think I'm the perfect guy to sing country music and write country music and be a Texas type guy. That's who I am.
Yeah.
Oklahoma, Texas, same deal anyway. But yeah, I mean, it's tough. It's tough down here, to be a traditional singer. It is. It's just a tough thing. And it's dang sure. I mean, it seemed like it's lightening up a little bit in Nashville. You got Jake Worthington, who's a good friend of mine, and this
I
Zach
love
Top.
Jake, man. Yeah.
Yeah, and Zach Top is incredible, and he deserves to have where he's at. Randall King's a friend of mine, and he's doing good. I mean, some country music is breaking out of Nashville for sure.
Cody Johnson, Kojo's one of those as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I played his his gala last night at Roping last year in Belton, Texas, and I talked to him for a good while, and I talked to Trent Willman, and Trent was going to produce this record on me. He sending me songs and finding stuff, and I've known Trent for years, and he's a believer, and we had a good thing, and then he got busy and ended up just cutting it here. I just ended up cutting in Texas, but I know those guys, and they deserve it, and they're very talented, and I'm glad that some country's busting through.
Yeah.
Good thing.
Good thing
for me.
Yeah, damn straight is. It's good for us country fans too, man. Let's chat a little bit about a period in your life I imagine had to be really, really difficult. And that, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you were staff writing for Curb, and at the same time you're commuting to Texas to become an artist to the Houston area. Is that happening simultaneously?
Yes.
Wow.
It was. Well, what happened was I signed with Curb in 1999. Then I had, I don't think I actually started writing there until 2000, but we started doing the contract. Contract took forever. I finally got it done. Yeah. And I was still working construction up until I finally got the monthly. They paid me once a month at Curb to write songs, and I couldn't be happier. And I got to lay the old hammer down, literally, and never have to drive another nail if I didn't want to. I got the opportunity to write songs. So I wrote a lot more songs, but I was traveling, and about a year after, maybe not even that long, at least 6 months to a year, trying to think, that's about right, I got a call from D Records down in Houston, Texas. But first they called a woman named Meredith Stewart, who signed me to Curb Publishing, and along with a record deal too. And anyway, so we were sitting around, and she said, I had a company out of Houston call and inquire if I had any good singer-songwriters, country, that they wanted to they want to invest in and sign to their label in Texas. And Kyle Lenning, who produced Randy Travis, was interested in cutting some sides on me. He didn't get enough money. He didn't think he wanted to mess with it from the label on my behalf. They just didn't want to put that much into it, and it wasn't a whole lot of money. But so he backed out of it, and I'm thinking, well, heck. So this D Records guy, and his name was Wes Daily, and he got in touch with me. They flew up and had a meeting with him, and next thing I know, he signed me to D Records, and D Records was a company that had George Strait, George Jones, and other people I can't recall right now that had some hits. And I'm like, his grandfather was Pappy Daly,
Yeah.
The White Lightning song. Tell Old Pappy had him a still. Well, he produced George Jones records, or co-produced, and Pappy did a lot of them. So D Records owned the whole catalog full of George Jones hits. You know, Walk Through This World with Me, and all those kind of songs. So A Window Up Above, which I recut because they owned it. They wanted me to cut it, and I did. But anyway,
that's a tough decision, right?
yeah, that was a terrible song I had to do anyway. But just kidding. But it was a great song. But
Man, I got to tell you, man, just from reading your story, I think Wes Daily really deserves a lot of credit for kind of unleashing you on the Texas world, right? I mean, a lot of this stuff that's happened for you may not happen without Wes, right?
Well, that's true. I don't think that. I believe without that, I'm not sure that I would have ended up in Texas without him coming to Nashville.
Right.
And offered me the deal. I'm not sure that I would have. I probably would have stayed in Nashville, and maybe I would have been a successful songwriter and maybe a singer from there. Maybe not. But I just felt the opportunity. I was still, fairly young. Not a young man, but I still was in my 30s, and decided to give Texas a try. So I think without him, definitely, he was the reason that I moved here.
Yeah,
and,
being an artist was kind of your first choice anyway, so that makes the most sense, right?
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I hadn't hardly sang in Texas in my whole life. I mean, even when I lived in Oklahoma, I just played bars in Oklahoma because they were everywhere.
Yeah.
80s, we were playing 6-7 nights a week, and I got a opportunity to go play music in Texas, and I just took it. And I stayed in Nashville as a songwriter. I didn't have to be there all the time as a songwriter. I could if I had gigs in Texas, I used to play in Greenville, Texas. I remember one of the first places I played. I think it was a place called the Horseman Club. It was right there on 30 out of Texarkana. You know that area, I know. Right.
I'm literally 30 minutes from Greenville, so yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you remember the Horseman Club?
I don't. I'm not really privy to the area. I've been here about 4 years, so yeah. We're actually in Golden, Texas, where Kacey Musgraves is from.
Okay.
So you might know where that is.
I've heard of it. I also I met her and I didn't even realize it. I ended up, the only way I knew about it was kind of cool. I played in, I'm trying to think of the town. It was a theater in a little town, and it was on a Sunday. The Perfect Stranger was there, and I was there, and I was trying to get started, and I had this old tour bus I drove up in. God dang it, they're wearing me out here. I ain't had a call in 18 days anyway. So anyway, I was sitting there and I played a couple of songs, or 15 minutes worth of songs or whatever, and this girl comes up to me, and it was Kacey Musgraves. I mean, she was young. She was probably 16, around there, 15, 16 years old. She was telling me about how much she really liked Miranda Lambert. I remember her saying that.
Yeah.
And I didn't think much about it. She was trying to get started in music business. And years later, this has been just probably 6-8 years ago, she had some kind of at the Country Music Hall of Fame in Nashville, they had her a display up there with her, an old poster of where it was in Mineola.
Yeah. I was going to say it was probably Mineola. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. And so they had a poster of her playing this benefit, and this buddy of mine took a picture of it, and that was the benefit I played. So
wow.
Her and I and 2 or 3 other bands. And I looked at it and at the picture, and I'm like, I remember her walking up to me, and that was pretty neat because I love her. I think she's so great.
Oh my
so
gosh, she's amazing. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Apparently, I've seen her 2 or 3 times around town, and I never noticed. I'm so oblivious, man. And famous people don't do anything for me, right? So
right.
I get to chat with y'all all the time, so it's no big deal, right? But but yeah, her family is they have places all around me here in Golden, so
yeah.
Ooh, I think I might have lost my. Nope, there it goes. Okay, whew.
I got you. But
right,
she's done great. And
she's an incredible writer, just an incredible writer. I feel, and I think she's very underrated as a writer. I think her being such an amazing artist has really outshined her writing ability, and people really need to look at
Yeah.
that a little bit tougher,
Yeah.
I think, because
Yeah.
just wow. So 2005 was when you finally decided to move to Texas permanently. First question I have: what was the impetus for this? Just wanted to give art, being a full-time artist, more rope, essentially.
Well, I think so. I mean, I was gaining some momentum a little bit, and I really never, D Records got behind me, but it takes a lot of money in a lot of ways to get
Absolutely,
rolled,
yeah.
and even to build a career now, you can't do it just by being really good. Sorry again, ruffle feathers, but it's true. There's other what things. A lot of times it's got to be in place too.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, in 2005, my mother and dad were not, especially my mother was not doing well. So I decided I'm just going to come back to Oklahoma. And my mother passed away in 2005. So then it was my dad who had dementia, and he knew me at that point, but it got to where he didn't. And I took care of him. He passed away in 2012, so it was really like 7 years worth of. He stayed by himself some, but he was really not. It wasn't good for him to do it. He was to the point to where, and in his last 2 or 3 years of life, he had fell and broke a hip, which was really the end for him. We had to put him in a nursing home for a couple of years. It just broke my heart, but I couldn't take care of him. He couldn't transport himself. We hired a nurse out there to help him, and he actually broke his hip when she was watching him. So initially that wasn't supposed to be. It's never supposed to be part of the plan, but it didn't work out well. And then I spent all the time I could with him, and he got to where he didn't know me, but I'd still go because I knew him, and that's the way I always looked at it. I'm not gonna. It was tough, but so I ended up coming home. But meanwhile, I was also still with D Records, and I did, I think, 3 albums with them, and it lasted. We did one every 2 or 3 years, I think. So, they were, done a lot of my career. They put out singles. We had, my first number one was in 2008, and it was a song called Drive. And that's the first number one I had. And it was a while later, almost 10 years, until I had another one. But then I've had, let's see,
13.
I've had 11.
13.
I've had 11. Yeah, I've had 11 since
Insane.
2018. Almost everything I put out has went to 1 on the charts. And, I have a guy named Rick Hogan that works my music, and he's out of Nashville, but he just works some Texas artists. He's great. You find the right people to work with and understand you, can help you and believe in you. And it's hard to find believers.
Yeah,
I mean,
you got to have people
doesn't
pulling on the same side of the rope, right? Like, you just have to pull
That's
from
for
the
sure.
same side.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people that come up that's got talent. They're cute, they're whatever they got going. They're good looking or whatever. They got cool shirt on, whatever. Nice hat. But, some of them can write, some of them can sing, some of them can do a little of both. But it's hard. There's so many artists out there that it's really, really hard to. And it's also opinionated. I mean, one guy may think I'm really good, the next guy may think, what's he doing in the music business? It's just so opinionated. It's not like he's the best golfer because he shot 10 under and he won the tournament. He was. He just won.
There's a lot more gray now, isn't it? It's not as black and white anymore.
Yeah.
Man, you mentioned.
I wouldn't trade.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm saying I wouldn't trade it. I love the music business, and it's been good to me. So
Well, there's always going to be good and bad. There's going to be stuff that gets on your pet peeves, and I mean that's going to be in any field, I feel like. But you mentioned 13 number ones. You've had 25 singles on the charts just as an artist. You've had multiple cuts by other artists that were also hits. You've had 8 studio albums, not including the one at 9 years old. We'll count that as 9, I guess, huh? You're also one of the most popular live acts anywhere in the Southwest U.S. I feel. I mean, you're playing all the time still. Do you ever take the time to reflect on all of this and kind of look back at what you've accomplished?
I do a little bit, but I'm still aggressive about doing more. I still want to do more. I mean, I'm just kind of the point to where it's like I figured, when you're in Nashville, if you were 30, you're almost too old to get a record deal. Back in the day.
Yeah, and you got
It's not
there at
like-
26, so you're almost there.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, they were signing embryos at that point.
Yeah.
They were signing.
Yeah.
So it was it was a tough racket, but it's a tough racket here in Texas. I mean, it's just a tough deal. And everybody, and I see it. I see money pushing it though. I see, big artists that become big overnight. And I know that I've worked my ass off, and I can't do it. I see people that they just got the money, and they got and here we go, boom, boom. They're selling, they're going to Billy Bob, they're going here, they're going there, and they ain't even been singing for 6 months. That's the unfair part of it to me. And I would really love to see, the TikTok artists and all this stuff is a whole different genre of artist also.
Yeah.
And I know some guys that's doing well there, and it's very tough. I wish I had the energy to do a video every 15 minutes on TikTok, but I just don't.
It's hard, man. It's hard.
Dude, I don't know how you could be entertaining that often.
I put out 2 a day, man.
Oh boy.
Yeah, 2 a day. So like we do 2 episodes a week, and so I put out 1 TikTok for each of those episodes every single day.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
I mean, I've been doing that format for a year and a half now. So that's
Oh man.
and that's just the short form, Jamie. Like I'm also putting out I think five long form videos a day as well.
You're the man. I don't know
Yeah.
how you do that.
It's
And that's,
a lot
that's
of
a lot of work.
basically the best way I do it is I have 2 different scheduling days, right? So like on Fridays I will sit here in the studio for about 3 hours. I'll schedule all my uploads for about 8 days, right? So like I can schedule all of those uploads to go out when I want them to go out at the specific time, and they do. And then on Sundays I schedule all the social media posts that coincide with the uploads that I just scheduled on Friday. So then I don't have to worry about that. So then basically the other 6 days, 5 days a week, everything's just rolling without me knowing. I've already done that. So it's basically a 2-day process. It's really not as bad as it seems, to be honest.
Well, that's great. I mean, I know that that's really what it takes now because it's so competitive in your business too, to have good product, good people want to watch it, tune in. And it's, I've been doing a radio show at KHYI on Sundays for about a year. I did a Real Deal country show for like 5 to 6 on Sunday. And I never ever wanted to get in the radio business. And here I was. He asked me, would you like to play, like some super country stuff for an hour at the range? And and I said, okay.
Shoot, no one better to introduce that than you, man. That sounds like a sweet gig.
Yeah.
For
I
sure.
I haven't done it in about a month, but I did it every week for over a year, and I may start back. I mean, they want me to come back, and I may do it. It's
Well, that means people miss you, dude. That's a good thing.
Yeah, they do. Seems like.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Man, let's talk about the 8 albums and reflection, because I feel like the longer you're an artist, the longer you're in the studio, the longer you write songs, the bigger your catalog gets, and then you can kind of take away from that catalog over time, kind of like the evolution process, so to speak. Do you ever, when looking back at your entire catalog, can you kind of see how you've matured as an artist and a writer over time? And if so, what are some things that stand out to you?
I think so. I mean, I think I've become. I had my moments as a writer. I think I had a pretty good run going there for a few years. I wrote a lot of slow, sad songs, and I know that's what a lot of people don't want to hear, but I like them personally.
Same.
Same. I had a good chance to write a lot of those because I lived a lot of those, and I had a lot of crazy relationships, and just finally here in the last couple of years, I mean I ain't saying that. I mean I had some great women married to, and she's awesome, but I have had some fun and crazy times and all that, and I think that I think more about writing. I think deeper maybe than I used to a little bit, but I also had some good people that wrote with me in Nashville, and they helped me. Some of those songs are really, was maybe mostly their baby. Some of them were mine. But as far as a singer, I think maybe I'm learning even this last record. I feel like I've learned something on this new record, and we cut 17 songs,
Woo!
and that's a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Wow.
yeah, we did, and some of them, I got a Dean Dillon song on there. I have a Monty Criswell song on there.
Wow.
I have Phil Billy, Phil O'Donnell. I have George Strait, Bubba Strait wrote one of them with Monty Criswell. And I wrote probably 6 or 7 of the songs that's on there, but I got a lot of good outside songs. Jason Deere, one of my good friends, he sent me a great song. I got some good material, but really one of the most exciting things about this new record, and I'll go ahead and let it out of the bag because I hadn't said this because I haven't done any interviews about what really hardly any, but we're just about to hit it hard. You're probably our first one, but
Nice.
which is great. But I had a friend in Oklahoma. He passed away in 2023. His name was Bill Caswell, and he was a songwriter in Nashville. And he had some cuts. He had some Johnny Lee cuts and people like that from Nashville. And he was from Bartlesville, Oklahoma. And he and I and his wife was Rosie. We were good buddies. We played 2 or 3 little shows. Or I played 2 or 3 shows, and they played like a KOA campground in Nashville every Wednesday or Thursday or something for the campers. They were real talented, but he also had a good friend named Keith Whitley. Bill did. So Keith and him wrote quite a few songs together, and I think maybe up around 8 or 10 songs together.
Wow.
And Keith cut Lucky Dog, which is one I don't know if you heard of, but Bill co-wrote that one. He also had a couple more that Keith maybe the label ended up putting them on an album after Keith passed away, but there was one song on there called Between You and Me. It's him, and it's a waltz, and I love the song. And Bill said, yeah, you should cut it, if you want to cut it. Nobody's ever even heard it. I'm not even sure. It was never done. The only thing I have is Keith Whitley singing it with acoustic guitar. I got a cassette of that.
Wow.
That's all I've got. And I've got 8 or 10 songs of Keith singing, just him and the guitar on this cassette. And that song, I bet Lori Morgan don't even know about this song because, I'm thinking about my own writing. I've written with a lot of songs. I've got one of those huge giant tubs or yellow and black from Lowe's, the ones I'm talking about.
Yep.
Well, I got that. I got one of them completely full of cassettes. I'm talking about not stacked neatly, but just piled in there. There's hundreds in there, right?
Wow.
So I got songs I forgot I even wrote. I started looking for songs on this album, and I started going through them. And 2 or 3 on this record I forgot I wrote. And it's me singing it, trying to write, maybe with a guy, maybe by myself. Now, 2 or 3 of these those are even on this new record. And I didn't even have any recollection of it. That's how many songs I was writing back in the day. But Anyway, this Keith Whitley song, I'm very proud of it. Man, nobody's called me in like a year. I'm not lying. Anyway,
you set this up. We know what's going on.
Not whatsoever. I'm gonna throw my phone out in the hall. But anyway, yeah, Keith. We cut this, and it's a beautiful song, and it's just an old kind of cheating country song. He's not cheating, but it's really not a cheating song exactly. But it's the whole hook is Between You and Me. It's him, and it's about somebody that she likes maybe more than she likes Keith. You got to sing it,
Yeah.
So that's what it's kind of about. But you can tell when I'm singing it that it's Keith Whitley influenced vocally too, because it's got a lot of the way he sang his notes and stuff, and I'm anxious to see what it does because
so I just want to make sure I have this right. You have on this new record, you have Jamie Richards songs on there. You have a Dean Dillon song. You have a George Strait song, actual George Strait song written by George Strait. You have a Keith Whitley song on there. Are we going all-star team here? Is that what's going on here? Man, how are you choosing these? You got 17 songs. How do you choose what makes the cut and what doesn't when you're choosing so many?
Well, I had Trent Wellman sent me some songs too, and a couple of those are people that he sent.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
To listen to, but I think that I had kind of a team. I've got a woman named Jen. She's a publicist that you've been talking to her.
Yep.
She lives in California, And then I also have a girl in New York that's kind of a branding person that's helped. She's also an artist. Her name's Brielle, and then friend of mine or two, and we just kind of. And then I got a producer named Josh Rogers. Josh Rogers is you know Josh?
I'm not. The name is vaguely familiar.
He's probably the top session drummer around Dallas Fort Worth. He's playing on everybody's records. But I worked with him on a couple things. I was just helping produce a guy, and I just watched this Josh Rogers working, and I was like, oh my God, this guy, because I was in the studio with Mark Wright, who produced Mark Chestnut, Gary Allen. He took me in and cut sides with me. I was in there with Don Cook, who produced Brooks and Dunn, a bunch of others. I was in there with, let's see. Anyway, a couple more big producers. But I never had a producer like Josh Rogers. I never seen those guys dig in like he does. He's pretty amazing. He's a big music guy. He's graduated. He knows piano. I mean, he can walk up to the guitar player or anybody else and say, "Can you do this?" And he's a drummer. So he's a guy that you don't see that really.
Wow,
so that was what was pretty impressive about him. So I asked him, I said, "Would you like to produce a new record on me?" Of course, he wants to get into producing, so he was happy to do it. So we went down to Blue Rock Studios in Wimberley and tracked for 4 days and cut, and that was the end of May of this year, and cut 17 songs. And then about 5 days later, I was at the Panhandle House in Denton singing them, and I sang them in about 3 days. And we've been doing editing, and he's been busy. We've been back and forth, and we're finally going to have it ready to mix here in about 2 or 3 weeks.
So when's the ETA, do you think?
Well, let's see. It's probably going to be toward the end of September before we have something out.
Okay.
I'm
And
guessing.
do you have a title for the record yet?
I don't. I've been asked that. We could probably find something pretty good, surely out of the 17 songs. And I don't know what we're going to do exactly with it. It used to be a format where you put out a CD, you put out a vinyl album, and you had so many songs lined up. But now it seems
And
like
hit the road, right?
hit the road, yeah. And people would either buy, throw stuff at you, one of the two. So we ended up having. I think what we're going to do is kind of what people are doing, like yourself.
Waterfall.
We're going to start releasing. Yeah,
Yep.
We're going to release a song. A couple months later, another. A couple months later, another.
Yep.
And we're going to. And we got 17 of them. So they're
How do you feel about that? That's called Waterfall, and that's kind of the new way of releasing music. How do you feel about that? That's massively different than how you came up.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, I'm having to learn about it but it obviously works real well.
Yeah.
I'm kind of old school. I wish we still did 10 or 12 song albums, and that was the way. Lost you for a second. I got you now.
Yep,
Can you hear me?
we're back. Yep.
Okay. So I think it's going to be. I think that, especially the woman in LA that's helping me, she's going to be good at helping me figure out what we need to do and how to do it. And she knows a lot of people around everywhere. I think the secret is getting on some really great playlists, getting here and getting there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all about who you know and all this stuff. A lot of it. I mean, if the talent's there and it sounds good, if it sounds great, I know one thing. I am really proud of this record, and I've had 9 other records, counting my 9-year-old record. I'm going to count that too, like you do. I never did that before, but
Well, hell, if you counted, this one gets you to 10, Jamie. Come on now.
I know it's all. I know. I don't know. I should to bring you in on the team. I mean, come on. But this is going to be. I think this is my best record to date, and I think it's going to be my deepest, and also, I think I've matured vocally in a way that it's even more emotion and feeling than I've ever had when I'm singing.
Wow.
I think that's a fact.
17 songs, man. That's very, 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 very interesting. I love it because that means more music from you. I'm a huge fan. So I'm excited about that. And so you guys can maybe shoot out some messages to Jamie on his social media if he's looking for a title for the record. So come up with something crazy.
Hey.
Maybe he'll use it. You just never know.
Yeah, that's a good idea. We're always looking for some help. You never know where it's going to come from.
Could be fun.
It could be, yeah. But I think that I'm going to dive in the middle of the social media myself and start playing some of these songs, just acoustic, just me and a guitar, and putting out some little 30 or 45-second clips of
It's
it.
brilliant. Yeah, that's very smart.
Yeah.
You know,
Just
just
see it.
sitting around the house, you're bored. Just put out a 45-second clip, and I mean,
Yeah.
you'd be surprised what happens just from that little bit of effort. You know what I mean?
Oh, I know. I've seen it. I mean, I could probably triple my social media presence in 3 months if I
Yeah.
would do it.
No doubt
Just
about
matter-
it. Yeah,
no matter what.
I believe it. All right, let's get into the second song that we're gonna play from Jamie Richards live. This one's called "Never Gonna Hear It From Me." So tell us a little bit about this one, Jamie.
Yeah, that one. I wrote that about a girl that I think I dated her about 3 years, and I think she was originally from out of Houston area, but she moved to Nashville and lived with me, and we just ended up, I ended up a little bit heartbroken over her, and she wanted to move on, and I'm like, once they decide that, then you might as well just let them, because that's what's going to happen. So I kind of wrote this song. It was had a little bit strong language in it. I've learned my lesson. You can go to hell. I've learned my lesson well as a line in it, and you can tell. But people love that song. It's still in my top 5 streaming songs. That one's always in it.
Yeah. And again, another great alliterative kind of song with the wordplay, right? Like, never gonna hear it from me. It just rolls off the tongue. And that's a good song. If you've got a good title, a good hook like that, usually the lyrics come pretty easily. Was that kind of the way this song was? The lyrics easy for you once you had the hook?
Yeah, I wrote this one. I wrote this one by myself too, and I think I could just hear it in my head. Sometimes with rarely. Even my guitar player at the time, I even told him what I wanted him to play. And the melody and stuff that I had in my head. I cut it with my band. I feel like that's a pretty strong song. It's got kind of a cool groove to it.
Yeah.
Kind of a more than your normal little, it's not a little 2-step, but okay. Yeah, I thought it really done great. I think it was a number 1 song for me, I believe, and it ended up, people want to hear it, and I'll Have Another is the other one you picked out. That was one that people really absolutely love, that song.
Yeah.
And so you picked
both
two
of them
good
number
ones,
ones, I believe, right? I'm pretty sure both of them were. Of course, I mean, everything you touch goes to number 1 nowadays. So, I mean.
It does nowadays. I haven't had a song out since 2020, really. Well, I had Man the Neon Moon, I guess. That was 2022. That was an older song that we brought back and put out because I was trying to get material together. It's been a long process. It's been 2 years ago since we started on this record. Honestly, not recording it, but just looking for material. And I was so picky and so hard on myself that I just didn't think anything was good enough. I kept writing and listening. I'm like,
imposter syndrome, right? Like just beating yourself up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, I had 17 songs. It seemed like, but it took a long time to get them. But nonetheless, that's a lot of tunes. But I was going to take advantage.
Yeah.
Get in the studio. If you got the guys in the studio, you might as well let them cut a lot of songs. I mean, a lot of people go in there and cut 3 or 4 songs. I mean, that may be all they think they need, but I'm telling you, if you got them all in there ready to record, and you're all sitting there with a producer and engineer, and they're all sitting there, you might as well cut 8 or 10
And straight,
or 12.
yeah. Why stop?
Yeah, exactly.
If the quality's good, man, quantity is going to be good if you got quality in everything, right? So, I mean, there's no reason to put a limit on that. Man, we're excited to show a live version here of another number 1 hit from Jamie Richards. This is Never Gonna Hear It From Me. I'll check it out.
I'll never say again how much I love you. I'll never say again how much I need you. I might feel it all the way to the bottom of my heart, but I won't mention it again. But you can't watch me fall apart. Never gonna hear it from me. Never gonna hear it from me. I've learned my lesson well. Yeah, you can go to hell, never gonna hear it from me. Never gonna hear it from me. You only come around 'cause it makes you feel so good that someone really loves you, even if you never could. But things are always changing, and there will come a day when the words I love you it'll long for me to say, never gonna hear it from me. Never gonna hear it from me. I've learned my lesson well. Yeah, you can go to hell, never gonna hear it from me. Never gonna hear it from me. All right, here we go. Come on, Scott. Never gonna hear it from me. Never gonna hear it from me. I've learned my lesson well. Yeah, you can go to hell. Never gonna hear it from me. Never gonna hear it from me. Not even one more, I love you.
All right, so we're back with Jamie. I got to mention just real quick, we have a having fun segment that we're going to have, which we'll do with you here in a second. But I just got to mention to you what my favorite song by you is. It might surprise you a little bit. I love Angels Got to Fly. I just love that song, the 90s vibe to it. Yeah, I just love that song. I wanted to, and it's on our playlist, our public playlist for the Boston.
Is it
show.
really? Okay.
It is. Yeah.
I wrote that song with a guy named Keith Perry, and Keith was from Kentucky, and I was writing a curb at the time, and I remember I think that was his idea. But you know, I've had a couple other people that just love that song, and we've never done it live or nothing. We demoed it. That's a demo that you got. Like I went in to cut that, and we go in and demo. All that album was a bunch of demos that they were pitching to try to get cuts.
Yeah.
But
I love the song, man. Love it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no problem. All right, so let's do our having fun segments with Jamie Richards. A lot of people will just go right to this timestamp. So the first of these are just a bunch of segments that we're going to put out on TikTok and shorts and reels and things like that.
Okay.
So just try to tell me the first thing that hits your brain when you hear the question. First one's called "Did You Know?" Can you tell us something your fans may not know about you?
Well, I don't know. I'm trying to think. I guess that I'm a little bit goofier than I appear to be. In person, I'm pretty serious guy. But in private, I'm pretty goofy, and I like to have a great time. Maybe that. I mean, I'm trying to get that way more on stage too. Maybe that's part of it. I was going to say something about one time I had a date with John Wayne's daughter. It was really one of my big story there. Marissa Wayne. Yeah. So that was pretty neat.
Yeah.
I got to go out with dinner with her a couple times. She came to Nashville and was trying to sing, and she couldn't sing a lick. But don't tell her. Okay. Anyway, but she was a beautiful girl, and a friend of mine named Jim Rushing, who was a great songwriter, had many big hits.
Yep.
He Hog Jump Bar Association. He had a bunch of Ricky Skaggs stuff. But anyway. He invited me to go out, so him and his wife and me and Marissa would go out once in a while. She was in town for a couple months, so that's pretty neat.
Yeah, no pressure there, right?
No, I told my mother. I said, "You ain't gonna believe who I went out to dinner with tonight." And I told her. She goes, "Oh yeah, you need to marry her."
Yeah. Damn
Like,
straight.
that woman ain't going to marry me.
Oh my gosh. All right, next one's called Mount Rushmore. Who is on your Mount Rushmore of country artists?
Well, Merle Haggard. I get how many people we allowed? 4?
4. Yep, 4.
4, yeah. Merle Haggard, typical George Jones, Lefty Frizzell possibly too.
Wow,
and
yeah.
I also love, Earl Thomas Conley. We all put him up there in a big group.
He's got a name more than 4 inbound.
Yeah, those four would do pretty well. I love Keith Whitley.
Yeah, great foursome. All right, next segment's called What the Heck. This is just 5 rapid fire questions that I'm going to pull from a list that I have a list of 50. Just going to pull randomly, and you just tell me the first thing that pops into your brain. Number 1, what are you the most afraid of?
Skydiving.
Yeah, because you can only make a mistake there once, right?
That's right. I don't love flying, but I fly a lot, and I'm kind of over that.
Yeah, the fall doesn't kill you. It's a sudden stop, right?
Yeah, sudden stop. Yeah.
All right.
Sure.
Number 2, what word do you have a hard time pronouncing?
Oh, a lot of them nowadays. The older I'm getting, I'm trying to think of this one particular word. Just particular, I did pretty good then.
Yeah, that impressed me. To be fair.
Yeah. All right, we'll go with particular, even though I'm nailing it right.
You nailed it twice. Look at you. All right. Number 3, what is no big deal for most people but torture to you?
Oh. Well, going to the doctor. How's that?
I'm there with
that
you.
May be torture.
I think that's another as you get older thing, right? Like,
yeah,
just,
right.
'cause the news can just be so much worse the older you get, I feel. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Number 4, what is the funniest thing you ever wore?
That I ever wore?
Yeah.
Like on stage?
Anywhere.
Well, one time I remember I was in, I think it was in, where was I? I was in Denison, Texas, and there was this guy out there with the craziest cowboy shirt I've ever seen in my life. It had like flames and all that crazy color, and it was just crazy looking. And I was about half drunk, and I traded shirts with him, and on stage, so that was really bad for me. Anyway, so and I took my shirt off, and he took his shirt off, and I put his on. He put mine on, and we went. I guess that. And the next day, I had that shirt laying over there in the hotel room. Like, what in the world was wrong? What in the heck? But anyway, I remember that.
You should have wrote a song about that. That would have been great.
I should have.
Yeah.
I should have.
All right. Last one, number 5. What world record do you think you have a shot at breaking?
Possibly. Did you hear that?
No, I didn't. Say it again.
I said probably one of the worst golfers in the world. I could probably break that record.
The highest
most,
score in golf?
Yeah, the most quadruple bogeys in one round. Or
I mean, to be
like,
fair, it would be easy to cheat to get that record, though. You know what I mean? Just
True.
play bad. I mean, that's all there is
Yeah.
to it. Just play bad. All right,
I do that when I'm trying to.
That was What the Heck. Next segment's called One Artist. Who is one artist that you wish the whole world knew about?
Oh boy. One artist. Well, I'm going back a little while, but I think Larry Cordell, who has done pretty well as a bluegrasser, but he's a guy that I have so much respect for. He wrote a lot of big songs, but he also had a unique voice, and I don't think he ever got his due either as an artist.
Yeah, he was a bluegrass artist, right?
Yeah, he was bluegrass. Yeah. Lonesome Standard Time was his band.
Yeah.
But he's funny. He's great. I mean, he's just a good guy. Good
Cool.
dude. Good people go a long way in my book.
Yeah, I like that.
Good people. Yeah.
All right, next segment's called Fly on the Wall. Can you name a room or rooms that you would, from history, any time in history, that you would love to have been a fly on the wall for?
Oh. Yeah, I mean, I guess for me, I was thinking about when I used to write at Curb Publishing. They had a building with a studio in it right there across the street from the publishing company room, and they had the executives over there in the studio room, a couple of big vice president of Curb and all this kind of stuff over there. And they would bring in these artists, and they would be over there singing, all a couple of girls or a guy or a group or whatever. And I would always want to be, because I would bring up once in a while, and I had one woman that worked there as A&R. She was pretty high on trying to help me get my record deal to go through. But I would love to have been a fly on the wall to hear the conversations between the head honchos of Curb Records about me. Just to hear what,
That would be
hear what
great.
they were saying. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Next one. What's the biggest lesson you've ever learned from music?
Biggest lesson?
Yeah.
Honestly, I think humility. I think humility is very important. I've probably always been humble somewhat, but I think being happy where you're at is a hard pill to swallow sometimes if you feel like maybe you should have done more, could have done more with a little bit of help. But I think, we're all just we're not here very long. Just have a good time and be happy where you're at. I think the music business has taught me that.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer, too, because it can teach you the opposite, too. It can teach you to be egotistical, The same thing. Yeah. Crazy. Yeah, good stuff. Next one's called Moment of Gravity, and this one is just looking back. It's a reflection answer, or a question, rather. Can you kind of look back in your life and kind of see when things started changing for you and putting you on the path you're on now?
Yeah, I would say that must have been, I was playing bars since I was 17 years old in Oklahoma, and all of a sudden at 26, I thought it would be a great time. I was around 26 years old when I moved, and I think that was the time I realized I had a band and all, and when I left, they continued to play. Wade Hayes was in my band at that point, the singer Wade Hayes, guitar player, and he was about 6-7 years younger, man. He was about 19, 20 at the time, but great guitar picker. I mean, always played great. His dad was named Don, and Don had a band all around. We went to the same school, me and Wade and his dad, all at Bethel School there outside of Bethel Acres, outside of Shawnee. So I knew that family real well, and Wade came and lived with me, for a couple of years when he got a deal like that. I mean, it just took no time.
Just great vocals, man. Great vocals.
Yeah, he could sing and he could play, and he was, young kid. I mean, I was young too. I mean, hell, I'd love to be about 27, 8 now. Maybe not. Maybe 30. Maybe 37 or 8.
We'd be dangerous with what we know, man.
I know it. I think that's true.
Good stuff. What are the 3 things you're most grateful for?
I think I'm really grateful to have parents that I had. Both of them were they didn't try to hold me back from anything I ever wanted to do. And I think that was because I wasn't really a wild child. I got a little wilder later, but I wasn't a wild child at that point. And I was playing venues when I was 17 years old. In Oklahoma, you get away with it back in the day, and had my own band. And they didn't ever, that's one thing I'm very grateful for. The second thing, I've had a lot of great friends in my life, and my friends, I got people call me almost every day just checking in with me and see. I think friendships are, and it seemed like this record has brought so many of my friends back into my life. Jason Deere, some of these people that I was so close to that I hadn't seen in forever, and now we're talking on the phone all because of this record. It brought us all back together. I've recorded some of their music. It's all like here we are again. And then I'm grateful for my wife. That's the 3 things.
Yeah, good stuff, man. Life is circular in that way, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. For sure.
It's so cool, and I feel like the older you get, the more you feel like the things that you started with are the things that you end with, right?
Yeah. Well, it's really weird. Everything about this record I'm cutting has made me feel something's meant to be for this record. I can't know what it is. I would like to be younger, but hopefully age ain't going to stop me. I mean, I can still jump around, do what I need to do, but hopefully because something's going to happen with this record. I don't know. I can't tell you what, but I know I've never felt like this with another project I've ever had, and I know something's going to happen. It's either going to be there's something going to happen. I can't tell you what.
That's momentous, man. As a fan of yours and having listened to your music for so long and seen and heard how good it has been already, for you to feel like there's something momentous about to occur with this record, I think people should really take notice of that, because if you think that, then wow, I can't even imagine what's about to hit us.
There's been more time spent on this record and really more money on this record than I've ever spent by far. And I think it's just all together. It's just flowing so well. The material's strong, very strong. My singing they got my vocals sounding like I like it to hear on this record. I wouldn't change anything about it. And, before I was just putting out music and trying to get rolling. But I mean, I think people, if they can't hear something in this record, they're not looking very hard, because it's going to be a strong record.
I can't wait to hear it, man. Awesome stuff. Okay, last question. Probably the hardest one for you to answer, though, perhaps. The name of the segment is, Who Do You Think You Are? Who is Jamie Richards?
Well, I've always felt like that I could spill some shoes, in the country music field, with some of these guys that had came and passed on or retired or whatever. I always felt like I could step up to the mic and do about anything I wanted to, really, vocally, and not a bad songwriter. So I think that's who I am. I think I felt that, and I think I have a lot of people that feel that way. I could always use a million more. But, yeah, I think I've got some that believe it, and hopefully we can get some more believers.
Well, Jamie, let's try to add some believers then. If you guys are out there listening or watching for the first time and hearing about Jamie Richards for the first time, I'm going to tell you where you can follow along with the man and support him. The website is Jamie Richards Band, and that is all one word, .com. All the social medias line up. They're all uniform, the same as the website, Jamie Richards Band, everywhere you go. Guys, even on TikTok. We've been giving TikTok some shit tonight, but he's on TikTok, y'all. So make sure you follow along there. And you're gonna put out more short form content, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I hopefully that's gonna be part of it. I know that's something I'm gonna have to just do in order to move this stuff like it needs to be. You got to do podcasts, you have to do streaming, you have to do a lot. You have to do almost everything that you didn't have to do at one point. But I realize now that if I'm gonna stay relevant at all, I'm going to have to do it, and I'm ready to do it. And I think we got the songs to do it. Hopefully, I think these songs are going to appeal to all ages, really. I mean, especially people that love. I'm not. I've always had some edginess to my music too, like "Cold as a Beer She's Drinking." I wrote that by myself. I wrote "She Remains." Some of these songs that are they're edgier. So, but I'm not writing, Hank Williams over here. It may be country, but it's not. It's still got a little bit of modern feel about it.
No, it's Jamie Richards, man. That's the best way to describe it. It's Jamie Richards, straight.
Well, thank you, man. Thank you.
And Jamie Richards is still hitting the road. He's still coming to your part of Texas and the Southwest. I'm looking at the tour. He's got 3 months in advance here, and I know you'll be adding more dates. You never stop. So, So you guys make sure you go to the website and look at that, because again, he's all over Texas, all over the Southwest. He's got some shows coming up with some fabulous other artists like Walt Wilkins and Darden Smith and others. So you guys make sure you're checking that out. Got some acoustic shows coming up as well, and so that's going to be interesting. I might have to catch one of those.
I hope so.
Jamie, I appreciate you doing this podcast. It's been a long time coming, and I'm a big fan of yours, and once again, thanks for the time.
Oh man, you've been great. Do a great job. Make me feel comfortable, and it's just awesome. Thank you for keep doing it, buddy. You're good at it.
Hey, my name is Matt Hankins, and thank you so much for tuning into the Boston Chris Show.